Hello guys, welcome to Open Techno. Today I'm going to introduce you to the CHUWI CoreBook Air 14, a laptop that for around 550 euros will offer us endless possibilities. From office tasks to gaming and even running artificial intelligence models locally. I'm going to show you all of this throughout the video. I've been testing this laptop for several days, and I think I can already tell you what I think about this CHUWI CoreBook Air 14. Let's start by talking about the design of this CHUWI. It's a laptop that has been designed with a focus on minimalism. When we see it for the first time, we find a very simple laptop with a dark blue color and the brand name displayed on the back cover. When we open it, we find a large screen, specifically 14 inches, and below it, there's a flat keyboard below it. This isn't the usual laptop with varying keyboard or trackpad heights. In this case, we make it as simple as possible, smooth to the touch, with a mix of plastic and metal. We have a bit of everything mixed in. Its weight is very light, and this is surprising when you pick it up. It weighs less than a kilogram, and its thickness is about 1.5 centimeters, approximately. This makes it perfect to carry, for example, in your university backpack without having to bring a separate carrying case for the laptop. And speaking of the screen, we have a 14-inch screen with IPS technology and a 16:10 aspect ratio. Normally, this aspect ratio is usually 16:9, but in this case, we get a little more resolution. It would be 1920 by 1200. Well, this gives us a little more room for productivity, for splitting screens and so on. Its maximum brightness is 350 nits, which is fine, not surprising, and we also don't have HDR or any kind of crazy technology. But we're going to have a matte screen with a matte finish, which helps reduce glare and offers us a very good resolution. Now, it is true that the colors look slightly muted because of that matte finish I mentioned. I've compared it to my MacBook Pro, which is in a different category and costs 3 times more, but it's a useful reference. It is true that the screen looks very good in terms of resolution, but it is also true that the colors might look a little bit muted. However, for productivity, for gaming, for everyday tasks, it's a perfect screen. As I was saying, with that 350 nits brightness, well, you know, maybe we can use it in the summer, outdoors, but for an office, for our home, for watching movies, it's going to be great. And even though I mentioned that the colors might look a bit dull because of that matte finish, it's true that the color coverage is good, which would make it a good candidate for a photographer, for example, who wants to take a computer to remote places and doesn't want to bring their main, more expensive equipment. So it would be an option. Before leaving the multimedia section, I have to say the speakers surprised me. They sound great, very clear, and for this type of computer, they're impressive. I think they have very good quality for enjoying movies, series, or for example, in my case, I've been watching Formula 1. And now let's move on to performance. The processor in this computer is made by AMD, and the integrated graphics card is also from AMD. It's the AMD Ryzen 5 6600H processor that offers us 6 cores, 12 threads, and a frequency of up to 4.5 GHz. In my experience, well, let me finish telling you, we also have 512 GB of storage, 16 GB of DDR5 RAM, which runs at 6400 MHz. This is going to make our computer extremely fast when opening applications and when booting up the operating system. For example, when transferring files with our favorite devices, and of course it will be able to run some games. In this case, I've been testing, for example, Counter-Strike, which is a game I love. It's a game that lately in the latest versions has had higher requirements, both in terms of performance and management. In this case, the graphics card has performed very well. I played it on my screen, which is 4K with medium graphics settings, and it was able to maintain a stable refresh rate of about 80 to 90 frames per second, reaching peaks of up to 120, which pleasantly surprised me. On the other hand, I've also been testing other intensive tasks, like running Docker locally with an LLM manager such as Llama, and also with, well, a UI to run those models and be able to use it as if it were ChatGPT. This is a task that consumes a lot of resources. I installed Llama 3.2, which is an LLM that practically uses up all the RAM, but even so, I gave it commands and it responded quickly. This is a very processor intensive task. Graphics too, I mean absolutely everything. RAM, because it's practically maxed out, and it performed very well while I was playing a 4K video and had other programs open, you'll see, during the video, but honestly I was very pleasantly surprised. As for the graphics card integrated into this processor, it's the AMD Radeon 660M, which in my case, as I mentioned, has even allowed me to run games. For example, a 4K video uses up about 50% of this graphics card. Hey, well, it's a graphics card that performs very well for daily tasks, and as I said, we can even play some basic games. Of course, don't expect exceptional performance, but it will get us by if we want to. We can play a game every now and then. As for the battery, we have a 55Wh battery with 65W fast charging, which gives us about 60% in approximately 55 minutes, basically an hour. And the battery life is very good. I would say that an intensive day of 6 to 8 hours, maybe at university, without turning off the screen and doing basic tasks, it lasts without any problems. And I've even been testing it while, for example, running these local models and so on, and honestly, I didn't get the feeling that it would last much less either. I recorded a shot in which Windows itself estimated about 4 hours and 40 minutes. So hey, a battery that's more than enough for office tasks, for daily use, and to last us throughout the whole day. Then, regarding ports and connectivity, which I haven't mentioned yet, we have a USB-A port for all you nostalgics. We have 3 USB-C ports, a headphone jack, and an HDMI port. In this case, for example, we don't have an SD card port, which could be interesting for video or photo editors. But well, I guess this gives us a much sleeker design with more battery. Anyway, I'm sure they've studied all of this. In addition, we have Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2, which gives us the best connectivity you can have in a laptop. And when it comes to using Wi-Fi at my house, for example, I get the same speed over Wi-Fi as I do with a cable, so I'm really happy with the features they've put into this computer. Other important things are that it comes with a backlit keyboard and it has Windows 11 Pro installed. You can start using it right away without having to pay for any kind of license, which is something to be thankful for. Windows 11 Pro, which of course gives us all the options of this operating system, unlike, for example, other computers that come with Windows 11 Home, which is limited. For example, for support, remote desktop use, and well, some things that maybe not everyone uses, but are quite nice to have. In summary, a very limited laptop. Lightweight, excellent battery life, and well-balanced performance between processor and graphics card. It allows us to do everyday tasks, gaming, and even programming. And if I had to point out 2 flaws in this computer, I'd know exactly what they are. One of them is that we don't have a Spanish keyboard layout. That means we don't have the N key. We simply have an English keyboard. But hey, if you're going to use it with an external keyboard, this won't be a problem either. And the second thing that hasn't quite convinced me would be the trackpad. It doesn't let us physically click anywhere on the trackpad. It has to be in the lower corners. Although we can tap anywhere on its entire surface. But honestly, it's true that the feel hasn't really convinced me much. The keyboard, for example, is the complete opposite. I love the keyboard. And with that said, guys, now I want to know what you think about this CHUWI CoreBook Air 14, a computer that costs around 550 euros, and if we find it cheaper, we'll leave the link below in the description. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave them in the comments. And if you liked the video, leave a like. With that said, see you in the next video. Goodbye.